Hello everyone and welcome to another royal reading here at MadWorldTarot. It is a Tuesday. I am very late today. It's dark outside as I'm doing these readings. Life in a village, all singing and dancing village. Busy, busy, busy today. But we want to read on things, I want to read on news that was revealed today about Harry's never-ending litigation. And this is the case against the news group, the Rupert Murdoch group, which includes The Sun and their Good Old News of the World, that went out of business as a result of all the phone hacking and unlawful news gathering and all of that. This, I think, is the case that Hugh Grant has pulled out of because he says he can't afford costs if things go wrong. Basically, Harry is still ploughing on. And we've just heard today that he has not been allowed to expand his claims to include trophy targets, as they are described. The trophy targets, Rupert Murdoch and Piers Morgan. The judge has said that the individual allegations against them are not material to the case. So that must have been rather a blow to the has-been. He's also, Mr. Justice Fancourt, who does not seem to be a fan of Harry at this point. Mr. Justice Fancourt has also refused to allow Harry to expand the timeline of the case back to 1994-95. to include incidents involving his mother, Princess Diana, and also events in 2016, which people speculate would have to do with Meghan Markle. So Harry's been blocked on several fronts. He's also seemed to be chastised in court for not complying with a court order from July 2023, something to do with amendment of his claims. I'm not sure precisely what. People who know far more about this than I do have been pointing to certain paragraphs in the judgment that was released today and saying that Harry is basically non-compliant. Almost a year later, he hasn't complied. What a surprise. The Parkles don't seem to know how to comply with these kinds of things, whether it's court orders or tax deadlines or things like that. Seems to be something that they are routinely negligent about doing. I have the Apprentice Tarot on the tarot deck and the shiny ring light because we're going to ask if Harry's learned any kind of a lesson, how he's feeling about this court case, any regrets. Must be costing an absolute fortune. He's ploughing on, as I say, although some people are jumping ship at this point, if I'm correct, and this is the same case, the Hugh Grant case, I think it is. Go back a long, long way. Really, I'm going to do a Celtic cross. I want to know if there's any regret in the has-been at this point for pressing on with this. And it must, as I say, be emptying the coffers quite rapidly there in Mudslide Mansion. How does he feel in particular about not claiming these two big scalps, these two big trophies, Rupert Murdoch and Piers Morgan? Piers, of course, the one who so famously stormed off the set of his morning show on British television saying he didn't believe a word of the rot that Meghan had spewed. There was a card that I'm sure flipped over that she had spewed on the Oprah interview that cost Piers his job. He's still, I think, quite struggling. I don't think he's ever really back to his old glory days. But obviously a personal vendetta there. One more shuffle. There we go. Shuffle, shuffle. And then let's do the Celtic cross and see what is going on with Harry in this court case. Any regret? And how does he feel about not getting these two big trophies that he was hoping to get? And the judge really said absolutely not allowing this kind of performance to go on in my court. This is not what litigation is about. Very interesting. Doesn't bode well for the future for the has-been, I would say. Let's remind you as I lay the Celtic cross out with the Apprentice Tarot that this is just tarot for fun and entertainment. It's all my opinion, it's all speculation. We just look at energy here, and disclaimer in the box below. Decisions, choices, choices, choices. The Lover's card is our underlying energy. It's it's that fork in the road, that famous poem, which I won't quote, but it's about was it the cleverest thing in the world to choose this litigation, to get into this team? And of course he was love bombed allegedly in the south of France. Elton John, the big hair, I can't remember what that lawyer's name is now, with the big hair, who was even there at the Invictus Games service at St. Paul's, whenever that was, I can't remember now, a couple of weeks ago. He got into bed with certain people who all had various motivations for what they were up to, and the Hugh Grants and the Elton Johns and the big-haired lawyer and the rest of them. It's who he's chosen to be involved with, not obviously in a romantic sense, but certainly in terms of litigation and choices. The Lovers is also the choice card, major arcana. So it's also, it's coming through quite loudly. It's also about Meghan. Because, as I say, he did try to expand his claims to 2016 to include Meghan, allegedly, and events involving her, because, of course, he was bleating on about Chelsea for all the world to hear, and how if they hadn't hacked her phone, she would have stayed with him, and they cost his relationship with her. It didn't look good for his decision to marry Meghan Markle. It looked like Chelsea was his one true love, the one that got away. It's all in there in that Lovers card. Situation right now for Harry with this case. Two of Pentacles, juggling. It's decision time. It's decision time about money. Does he have the money to keep sinking into this litigation? That's what the Two of Pentacles is asking. Balancing the books. In the good old days, balancing your checkbook. Is enough coming in so that even more can go out to that big-haired lawyer and the rest of them? Or is it time to admit defeat and say, I can't afford this, like Hugh Grant has done? And as I keep saying, hopefully this is the court case that happened in. It's hard to keep track of all these cases. What's the problem? Apart from balancing the books, juggling the money, what's the big problem? The big problem is how to get out of this fight without looking like a big loser. Conflict card, the Five of Swords. Fighting without scruples, hollow victory, all of that stuff. Animosity after dispute. Of course, he's picked a bad enemy, the British press. You don't really want to. He needs to accept his loss and move on. Learn from a defeat. That's his challenge right now. The Apprentice Tarot, that's why we have it on the table. Is he learning any life lessons? The Apprentice Tarot is telling me he needs to start learning some life lessons about the way the world goes. That the fact that you are a royal prince is not going to help you when it comes to a court case. It might have helped Meghan Markle way back when, in her very early career as a royal, a litigious royal. It might have bamboozled the judge way back when. A lot of people speculate that that influenced the decision, the fact that she was a royal. That's all, of course, speculation. Harry, the lesson he's got to learn here is you can't win every battle. Sometimes you have to walk away, you have to admit defeat, and you have to move on with your life and give up and let go. Is he capable of learning that lesson? We don't know. But what I want to know down here in the hidden energy, what's down in his heart of hearts that's driving this court case right now, does he regret this decision to get involved in this case, or is he still burning with the passion to defeat the British press? It's an interesting card. We have the Fool. The Fool is recklessness, going into something in quite a naive way. It's interesting that it's shown up there because I'm asking, does he regret this decision? And there's a certain sense in the card of gullibility, being naive, maybe being led into a tricky situation, not understanding the full extent of what he was about to step into. The Fool. It's giving me the sense of being very naive, very trusting, very gullible, thinking this was all going to be lovely. Because, of course, he would have been promised that this would be easy, the press would roll over and die, they would probably settle, and if it did go to court, he would have his big dramatic moment where he could denounce them, and they would all sob in court, and the newspapers would have to fall on their swords, the people, the Piers Morgans and Rupert Murdochs, and it would be brilliant. I'm not seeing regret, but I am seeing some sense of perhaps this wasn't the cleverest thing to do. Perhaps I was a bit gullible. Perhaps I was a bit naive. Perhaps I have been, to some extent, led astray. That's the energy that's coming through and that I am reading here. What's his mind on right now as far as this court case is concerned, and does he even have a mind at this point? Six of Pentacles. Money in, money out. What was I saying with the Two of Pentacles? It's the same energy, balancing the books. It's about equality. It's about quid pro quo. I've sunk all this money into this court case to bankroll the thing, keep you guys all going, what am I going to get from this? What am I seeing here? Perhaps he is waking up a bit, oh Dumbo, and realizing that mummy's inheritance has been used up, the Netflix money has gone, the advance for spare has disappeared, that Nigerian money, I don't know, maybe they had to hand it back. I'm being snarky. Some bad company in Nigeria, those fraudsters, fugitives, all those terrible F words. What's in it for me? Am I going to see anything at the end of all of this? Why am I going to be bankrupt and have to go back to the bank of par? And I need to stop and cough. And I'm back from coughing, the cough that comes and goes, depending on how much talking, singing, dancing has been happening in the day. Let's look at the recent past. How has this court case been going for Harry? He's had some bad losses this year in other fora. With the security thing, which is pretty much dead in the water now. How has this one been going? And we got the Five of Wands. Ooh, fighting, but fighting. It says rivalry, clash of ambitions. A good description. It's about infighting, really. Who's going to be top dog? Who's going to dominate everyone else? Who's going to get their wishes or have their needs dominate over everyone else's? This is within a team. This team that he chose, the Lovers card. There's been fighting about the direction of this court case, about who's paying what, who's losing what, who's making huge financial gains out of the situation while others are losing hand over fist. Fighting. This is not fighting in court against the newspapers. This is fighting with each other. And that's very interesting. What is going to come next? Is Harry going to throw in the towel, admit defeat, say, I can't win this? Well, repeat the statement that was put out by Hugh Grant, can't afford to do this. Is he heading there? Is he going to plow on? What's he going to do? Ooh, 10 of Wands. It's going to get really hard for him. He might be pushing this case along more or less by himself in the near term with this 10 of Wands, because for me it's always very lonely energy with this terrible burden. On you go, under stress, almost done. It's not give up just yet. But it might be a sensible idea to sit down, put the burden down, have a little rest, and contemplate whether you really want to pick that burden up and carry on all by yourself, just for the sake of appearances, because ones very much in these royal readings are about appearances, about PR, about what people see and what people perceive. And this is a lonely road, a difficult road. It's getting worse and worse in the near future. It's going to get more and more difficult for him personally. And, I could almost squeeze a tear out of my left eye at this point. How does he feel about Piers and Rupert Murdoch? The fact that they are not going to have to turn up in court and face the wrath of, I think it's David Sherborne, the name has finally come back to me, the big hair guy. Perhaps, you know, the quid pro quo could be give Harry some of his hair, donate some of that to make a nice little toupee for him. Instead of that spray-on hair that some people think Harry is making use of now. How does he feel about Piers Morgan and Rupert Murdoch and the fact that they are not going to be personally implicated in this case? Knight of Cups is quite a strange card because it's not resentful and upset like I would expect it to be. The Knight of Cups is actually quite a warm connection card. He might be feeling with that energy, and I'm just speculating, of course, he might be feeling that they have some kind of influence that means that this decision went their way. Shall we just say that? And you can fill in the gaps there with the Knight of Cups. Because it is that kind of schmoozy networking energy that's coming through for me with that Knight of Cups, that he might look at them and say, you're quite oily characters, you, and you're all connected somewhere along the line. That is what is coming through for me, that they might have got wheeled their way out of this situation because of that kind of energy. Just speculating. It's not the kind of energy that I was expecting to show up, but I did ask, how does he feel about them and the fact that they are not going to be forced to appear in this case. Personally, you get the Knight of Cups. So, what pressure is Harry under right now? 10 of Wands is pressure. Justice. He wants his day in court. He wants this case to go forward. He believes that he is right, and he deserves his huge payout. He deserves to ruin these newspapers or this news group and have them grovel and apologize and give him billions, because this is his business model now. Litigation, one speculates, people speculate, I speculate for sure. He wants justice to go his way. He believes that he deserves it. He's quite convinced that he is right. And of course what the newspapers did was disgusting, but there was an inquiry, and the News of the World folded. People were shamed publicly, and there was disgrace, there was blame, there were new rules. It's old news, it's stale, it's been done. Settlements were offered, and it's not good enough for him. So hopes and fears for Harry in this situation. Ooh, she's shown up. She's shown up. She showed up in the Lovers card. She's shown up now here with the Queen of Wands. He needs to win this one for her, to please her. It's pretty pathetic energy. It's the has-been who got elbowed out of that lineup, the photo opportunity, and had to stand in the back. She wouldn't let him come and stand next to her. She did a little dance on the spot, and then stuck her elbows out and beamed for the camera, and got her best angle while he was looking grouchy and grumpy and having to hold something that belonged to her, the handbag as people call him. The handbag needs to please his wife. He's still somehow enthralled to her. Some people use the expression the Stockholm Syndrome for this weird power that she has over him, this strange a sense that people have of him trying to please his captor, basically, and ingratiate himself to the person who is really his jailer. That is the sense that's coming through in this card for me as a tarot reader. It's just energy, it's just speculation. But the Queen of Wands, he needs to please herself, the fire sign woman, the Queen of Wands. This whole show is about her, is what I'm getting from these two cards. outcome for Harry, soldiering on or giving up, succeeding, a massive triumph, or damp squib. What's going to happen? Where are we heading in this energy? We're heading for a loss. No cause for celebration. It's the Three of Cups in reverse. Upright, it's happy days, parties, friendship. It's the popping the corks at the end, the champagne at the end of something, because you've got something to celebrate. There's no celebration there. Three of Cups. It's also telling me that some of these friendships, these alliances that I see in the Lovers card, could disintegrate under the pressure of this court case. Elton John, Hugh Grant, the big hair guy, who's must have funded a super yacht by now and be sailing around in the Med most of the time. Tricky with that humidity for that hair. I don't know how he manages, but they could all fall out over this. And of course there is snark, it's my opinion, and it could all work out quite differently, and they could continue this litigation for years as this business model that many people suspect it is really for all of them. But it doesn't look like it from the Three of Cups in reverse. It looks like they could all fall out. There could be some losses. There could be some regret at the end of the day. It's not a huge card. It's not a terrible card. The huge card, the terrible card, is sitting right here, really. The Ten of Wands. From the Five of Wands in recent past, squabbling, to Ten of Wands, left alone to carry this burden that has been, and then falling out with everyone as a result, and not being able to please the Queen of Wands, who's waiting in the wings for this to be all about her. Turns out it's not going to be all about her, and it could all I was going to say end in a great big hair loss for the has-been. I think it already has caused some more balding there for him. That's my opinion, of course, and thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.